Lisa. How are you doing today?
Hey girl. How are you? I'm good.
I'm doing so good. We are on episode 2 of our recent podcast we started called DisComfort Zone.
Woohoo!
So excited. I know.
Yeah, so we're on episode number 2, DisComfort Zone, and I want to start off with saying how thankful I am for all the support. We launched our first episode last week, I think, right, Katrina, or maybe the week before, and we got so much love, didn't we?
Oh my gosh.
It was crazy. And it was so really inspiring. Cool. It makes me so excited to do this. So,
yes.
Yes.
It's so cool. And, you know, as those of you who have not watched our first podcast, you know, we just wanted to kind of share, this is a place where we want to invite entrepreneurs to share their story and their success and some of the hurdles they went throughout their career. And today we have the pleasure of...
Yay! We have our first guest. With us today is Jenn Sevilla. She is with Stromsoe Insurance Brokerage, and she is the CFO. Woohoo!
Yes.
And she is a serial entrepreneur as well. She is the owner and chef of Crab Boil Catering. She's an angel investor. She does all the things, don't you, girlfriends?
And you're
I try, but...
And you're a mom of 3 kids, right?
I am. Yeah, 3 of them.
That's so awesome. I commend people who have a lot of kids. So that's amazing.
Or if you count her husband.
Yes, there's 4.
Yes.
There's 4 of them.
That's so cool. Well, you know, Jenn, I'm so grateful for you to come on and do this. I know sometimes, you know, where you come onto a space where you don't really know what to expect. And we didn't ask you any of these questions before. So I'm so excited. This is going to be really authentic and real and from your heart. So I'm just going to kind of jump right into it. So the first thing I wanted to share a little bit with us, tell us a little bit about your background. Tell us a little about who is Jenn.
Oh, Jenn is crazy. Lisa, you laughed too hard at that one.
Sorry.
No, who am I? Just a little bit about me. I am happily married. I've been married for 19 years. I have 3 amazing kids. I have a 19-year-old, a 17-year-old. As of today is his birthday. And then I also have a 7-year-old. My husband is amazing. He's in law enforcement. As far as myself, I've been really in the finance industry for a very long time. I went from banking to insurance, to opening my own companies, to investing in companies. It's just, I love everything business. So
that's awesome.
A little bit about me.
I know. So it's so amazing to me that you're actually running 2 businesses. You're the CFO of insurance brokerage, and then also you have this catering business, and then you also are an investor. I don't know how you even do all those hats. But one of the questions I wanted to ask you that why, in your opinion, why do you think people fail as far as in business, and why do you think they give up too soon?
I think people have amazing intentions. And that's the part of when I was in SBA financing, or even as an investor listening to pitches, they love and have such a passion for what they want to do, right? I loved Cajun boils. So I said, let me start a Cajun boil company, right? Just because I loved it. It's a passion. But why I think they fail is you can love Cajun boils and you can have a passion for cooking and serving people and that, but you don't really understand or take the time to understand that it's a business. So if I had one number 1 thing on why people fail, it's because they allow their passion to cloud their business judgment. And it's very, very important to work outside of your business and not always so much inside your business. So I'm fortunate because at Stromsoe, I don't own that company. I am on the leadership team, but I work in it, but we take time apart to work on the business once a quarter. And I think a lot of businesses fail because of that.
Yeah.
They don't take the time. They don't do the work. It's fun to have a passion, but it's also work if you make it a business. So you have to remember that.
Extremely hard
Jenn,
work, for sure.
How did you find that? So I just know you personally, and I know you professionally, but personally, I know that you started hustling, for lack of your least favorite word.
My favorite word.
Right? I know. Katrina's favorite word, hustle. Jenn hates it. You started young, right? So when you were doing that young and you can kind of go into that if you'd like, how young you were, but how did you learn that? Was it fight or flight, or how did you embrace that? Because a lot of people try and they fail and they're like, never mind. But you didn't have an option probably, but tell us a little bit about how you found that.
So I don't know how long I have. It's a long story, but what
Okay.
I can tell you is, from a very young age, when, your family separates or you have other, major issues, you learn the fight or flight mentality. And, growing up with a dad who's amazing, and a mom who, was an alcoholic and a drug user, and that type of mentality in your brain, you kind of see really quick how or who you should become. So at the age of 16, I was blessed, I can say that now, to have my first child. And the minute I found out I was pregnant and the minute that I saw her, it was kind of like, do I go, the addict route that I saw growing up, or do I take charge and say, I'm not a statistic? Right. That was my mantra, motto, whatever, for a very long time. I'm not a statistic. And later on, I'll talk about why I am a statistic, but just seeing her, my daughter is the oldest, she's 19 now, seeing her and looking and saying, you know what, I don't have a choice. If I am going to be the mom that I always needed, I have to do it right. So, I worked up until the day she was literally born. I got, married. My husband, was in the military, and we did everything we possibly could to make the best out of every situation, period. So,
awesome.
Yeah.
That's such a commendable story. Wow, that's so cool. You hear about the statistics that happen, with young teens, and I think it's so great that here you are, an entrepreneur, totally amazing woman, and you went through something like that. That's really commendable.
Well, it's kind of, to me, I made choices. Everybody makes choices.
Right.
You can either become a victim or you can rise above it, period. And it sounds kind of cliche, like rise above, your struggles, but you have a choice in everything you do. You chose, I made those choices. I deal with the consequences, and I choose how to deal with those consequences every day. I mean, I'm only 36 years old.
Wow. You're so young.
And there's no other option, honestly.
That's awesome.
I like that part. So I think that's kind of why you and I get along so well, is we come from that unsure lifestyle a little bit, where we're watching other people make poor choices, and it's like the opposite. You run the opposite direction, kind of. I mean, luckily I have that personality, you have that personality, but unfortunately there's people who don't have that personality and they run right with what they are familiar with. And luckily you and I were both fortunate to run the opposite direction.
Well, it's not easy. It's not easy because you're in a place, I'm so thankful, and I'll say it 500 million times for my dad, who, was pregnant. Okay, what are you going to do? Right. Yeah. That was his response. It wasn't like, oh, why'd you do that? It was, okay, what are you going to do now?
Yeah. How are you going to overcome this challenge? That's amazing. Yeah. Well, the next question I wanted to ask you is, what is something you would say that you're not very good at?
I know
this is hard because I watch you on Facebook, right? And you are painting your cabinets, you are cooking these gourmet meals, you are in the community supporting everyone. I mean,
she loves Excel spreadsheets.
Yes.
Okay.
But there has to be something that you're not good at.
I'm not good at reading license plate numbers. Like, how people come up with like creative, stupid things on their stupid license plates. That I'm not good at.
I like that.
Darn, what an unimportant quality.
I was not good. I have to work daily on saying no.
Yeah.
I had to learn that. Yep. It is hard to say no. So
it is, especially when yes feels so good.
Even when you don't want to, but you're like, they need me. I have to help everything. I have to help everyone,
Yeah.
No, you don't. So.
Yeah. No, you do not. Jenn, so I want us to go back to when you were talking about how you were a young mom. how did you get from that point to now? Like, I know that could be obviously an hour-long story and we can go through every monument, but what did you start doing and how did it lead into, you know, you going into business banking and then you being the CFO of a national insurance company, creating your own business? Like, what were those steps? Did you have a mentor? What did that look like? A little bit more specific for people listening who may either be in that same position or maybe want to start taking a better initiative to become more successful.
Yeah, so it was, let's just start it here. So 16, working at Quiznos subs up until the day I had my daughter.
One of my favorite places.
When I went back to work, I'm like, you know what? If I'm going to make a life for my daughter, I probably should get a more professional job for me, because it was very, you know, difficult hours and things like that working in fast food. I needed something a little bit more stable. So there was Guidance here in Temecula, which is now Abbott. And so I went to a temp agency and I was like, hey, I just had a baby. I need a job and this is what I need to make. And I have no skill other than making sandwiches. So help me. And so they did. I started at Guidance and just working. About a year and a half later, my husband was in the military. He said, come move with me and let's get married and let's do all this stuff. And I was like, okay. I mean, sometimes you just feel it in your gut, which is a horrible thing to say, especially me being the financier that I am. But you feel it in your gut. So I up and left and I went back to college. I had my second baby at 19.
Wow.
And I started working at City Financial, which is a subsidiary of Citigroup. We did subprime consumer finance. You know, those loans that kind of got us in trouble this last time.
Yeah.
Anyways, so I was lucky enough to join the management training program. I was sent to Baltimore, where I had a mentor, the CFO of City Financial, Mary McDowell. She told me, she said, study everything you can from until you're 30. When you're 30 to 40, open up a new business every year. That way that by the time you're 40, you'll have 10 different revenue income streams. And I'm like,
wow,
lady, I am 22 years old. I am not going to be able to have 10 businesses. Like, what are you talking about? So in all honesty, I just read financial statements, studied, I did that. And then that time came to an end and I ended up going to work for the bank. They put me in a branch, like a teller. And everyone kind of laughs because I completely sucked at it. I tried to be a teller. I was losing money. I kept talking to everybody, but what I did do very well was sell accounts. So they said, you know what, let's start the business banking department up and get you into lending. So I went to lending school. I studied financial management, and I just, for the next 6-7 years, I studied financial statements from super wealthy and successful, financially successful people, and kind of self-taught, like, how did you do that? And why did you start? And why is your cash flow like this? And why is this? And just asking all these successful people who were my clients, how is it? And I made VP at the bank on my 30th birthday. And I said, what's next?
Cheers.
Yeah.
And I told the chief lending officer, one of my favorite bosses, if you will, of all times, one of the smartest men I've ever met. I kind of said, what's next? And we kind of saw, you know, a trend in the economy. And I said, what else is not economically cyclical like lending? And insurance it was. So
that's so awesome.
I went over to Stromsoe Insurance Agency and we started a sales division. And then, you know, it kind of took off from there. I went to the Hartford School of Insurance, got training, and the rest is kind of history.
So I just want to comment really quick. Obviously, you're listening to Jenn's story and it's amazing, you know, but Jenn, how long have you been in insurance?
4 years.
4 years.
Wow.
And so 4 years, you're now the CFO of a national insurance company. So that's incredible. Something I hear from a lot of, you know, successful peers in our community that, you know, 2 years ago when you were still you were killing it in insurance, are like, damn, she's only been in insurance for 2 years.
Wow.
So you have a drive that is very motivating. And I
Yep.
am very lucky to have you in my circle, not only personally, because, you know, you are my friend, whether you like to admit it or not, but professionally as well. You know, you're one of my people I go to for all my businesses things. So,
Aww.
you know,
That's really cool that you guys have that. I love that.
Yeah.
I know. She's the cutest. Well, you know, one of the things I loved about you when I met you, and we actually brought you in and talked about doing this, and, you know, you were there giving us advice and stuff. And then one of the things you said resonated with me was, you know, there's people that are in the beginning of their hustle, there's people that are in the middle of their hustle, and then there's people that don't have to hustle anymore. And me, I'm all about the hustle right now, just because that's where I'm at. You know, it's just, I love it. I love the word. That was my word for 2020. But, you know, one of the things I love about you is you have your hats in all these different areas. How do you manage all the different things that you're doing with business? Like, how do you decide, you know, what's the most important, or how did you get from point A to point B, and just how did you start that really quick?
Pharmaceuticals. Just kidding.
I'll start backwards. Everyone hashtag reject the hustle. Look it up, follow it, listen to it. It's a great movement that's happening now. But in all honesty, I don't do it sounds like I do a lot, but I don't do a lot. I am absolutely only a delegator. So
okay, that's important. That's the key, is you have to learn to delegate.
You know, somebody told me a couple years ago, there's birds that kind of fly like this, right? But if you're sitting in the front the entire time, the birds, they get tired. So the bird behind has to come up and take charge. And it's consistently rotating, because if you lead from the front, it's very, very tiring and exhausting. They said, lead from the center. Hire people and surround yourself with people who are much, much smarter than you, okay? And have them do it. So really, my jobs are easy. They're easy, because what I do is, hey, I have an idea. This is how it's worked in the past. This is what I think can work. Who do I know that's good at marketing? Who do I know that's good at sales? Who do I know that's really good with paperwork? And you surround yourself and build teams around that. So
that's awesome. That is such good advice.
I'm nothing without my sales team. I'm nothing without my service team. I'm nothing without the other leaders and my principal of the company. And Crab Catering, my daughter does our marketing. My son is all the, you know, arm work. And my 5-year-old cleans crawfish. Like, I
love it.
I'm nothing without
family business.
And you're teaching your kids how to be entrepreneurs. I mean, at such a young age, that to me is so amazing. I love that. So the last question I want to ask you, Jen, and this is just my personality because it's hilarious, and you are the cutest thing, but what is your favorite cuss word?
My favorite cuss word?
Yes.
Your favorite 4-letter word, because we already know that's beer.
What's your favorite
word? No, favorite cuss word. It has to be a cuss word, and you are free to say it.
It's a cuss word. I would say, damn it. Like,
okay, that's a good one.
It's like,
that's
damn
a good
it.
one.
I'm always saying that, but it's not appropriate to some, so damn it.
I understand.
Mine is worse, so
mine is too.
Yours was damn it, so. All right, girlfriend, thank you so much for being on with us today. We are so thankful. You were our first guest, and I think it was so awesome. I'm so excited.
I know, this is going to be great. And Jen, we really appreciate you opening up and sharing about, you know, your history and where you came from and the things that you've overcome. So thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this, and we love you.
Me too, girlfriend.
I loved watching the first one, and thank you guys for having me.
You got it, girlfriend. Guys. All right, see you later,
everybody. Thank you so much, guys. We'll see you soon. Bye.